Okay, levels of significance in A-level psychology can be very, very tricky for students. I'm going to make a very quick video here, which I hope will be quite useful to you all, because often when you hear things put slightly differently to what you might have heard it before, it can really make things click. Now, I would advise that you stop the video here and that you actually write out this chart here. It won't take you more than 3 seconds or so. And then as you go through the video with me, you can take some notes around it. I think that will be quite helpful to you all. Okay, so let's get started. Levels of significance are what psychologists choose before they begin a research study. And it's very crucial which of these sort of levels they choose. There are much more levels than these, but these three are the ones that you really need to understand. You don't need to understand any more but these, okay? What you need to know is how these can impact on their research in terms of it being published or being useful. And this will always come up in the A-level exam. And this could be on paper 1, on paper 2 and paper 3. Don't think it'll only be paper 3 of the AQA exam. Sorry, paper 2 of the AQA exam with the big research method section. It won't. Expect it on paper 1, 2 and 3. The very first exam in the new series started with research methods paper 1 and students were all thrown off. Okay? Not my students, because I'd warned them. I have to clap myself on the back for that. And they were so prepared. So I'm telling you all, expect it on all three papers. Right, let's get into it. Levels of significance go from a high number to a low number in terms of more significance. So when you've got a fraction such as less than equal to 0.10, that is a high level in terms of a number. Okay, and high and low get you all mixed up. So just think of it as a high number, but it's low in terms of significance. Why? Because you've got 10% chance of having an error. And if you're doing research, 10% chance of error means only 90% certainty. So that's okay, but it's not that tight. It's not that certain. Okay, so when you go down one, you go to 0.05 as your level of significance, which is 5% chance of having an error. So that's much tighter, but it's still not perfectly tight. You go to 0.01, 1% chance of error. That's really quite good. That's more significant. Why? Because when you've got less error, a chance of error, you mightn't have an error, but you've got a chance of error, then that's a significant finding. All right, so if you just learn these three levels and these are the errors that will be in these levels, you absolutely have all you'll need. Now, why is this important? This is important because if you went to get, let's say you went to get a drug from a doctor, I'm not going to mention, research on non-human animals here, but let's just say you found out that this particular drug had been researched on human beings with 0.01 as the level, 0.10, of course, okay, as the level of significance. And you think, hold on, that's got a 10% error chance. And I don't want to take that drug. But if you found that research had been carried out at 0.01 level of significance with a 1% chance of error, you'd think, oh, okay, that's 99% certain that's going to work for me. I'll have a chance on that drug. So as you can see, smaller the number, more significant. All right, so just learn it like that. You need to learn how much error there might be. Now, these errors, type 1 error and type 2 errors, are not about this. They're completely different. These are what would be the worst case scenario if you went ahead to publish your research and you did not have a finding. Okay, now, this is the worst one, a type 1 error. Okay, a type 1 error is the absolute worst type of error that any psychologist could make. Why? Okay, because a type 1 error says that you think you've got a finding. You go on to publish it, but it was a false finding. Why is that likely, why is that more likely to happen? Well, when you have a larger number of significance level, 0.10 or 20 even sometimes, you will most likely have a type 1 error. Why? Because you've given yourself more room to make an error. Okay, do you get it? The more error you give yourself up here, the more chance of a type 1 error. A type 1 is where you think you've got a finding, but you've not. So you have rejected the null hype and you have maintained your hypothesis, but you were wrong. You've seriously messed up your whole career. You've made a type 1 error. That's the worst one. That's the way to learn it. Okay, 1 is the worst. That's going to help you remember which is which. All right, now, what about a type 2 error? That will occur when you've left yourself hardly any room for error. Okay, so it might be this one, 0.01 or even 0.001. That's got a less than 1% chance of error. Well, if you've left yourself hardly any room for error, you probably won't have any finding at all sometimes. Right, and therefore you might decide to maintain the null and get rid of the hype, and that's a type 2 error. It's not so serious though. Why? Because you have decided to maintain the null. You don't think you've got a finding. It's only due to chance alone. So you haven't gone to publish it and you haven't gone to ruin your whole career. So that is the way I would like you all to think of these errors and to learn them, okay? Final point is, why do psychologists always go for this one? That's what you're told. And it's absolute rubbish because psychologists don't always go for that one. But it's the one in the middle which has got a 5% error chance, not a 10%, not a 1% or less or more, just 5%, which is most likely, but not always, going to avoid these major issues here. You're not likely to have a type 1 error or a type 2 error if you go for this, okay, because you've got 95% certainty, 5% error, and it's like a safety place, okay, to go to. All right, I do hope that was useful for you all, and I wish you lots of luck in your exam this summer. Okay, goodbye for now.